Hello, Unexplained Ones. This is Dr. Mounce, and welcome back to All Things Unexplained. Recently, the enigmatic group called Skywatcher revealed 9 classifications of UFOs, UAPs, and one of them was known as the Manta Ray. I think I might have gotten to the bottom of what the Manta Ray really is, and the answer might surprise you.
I am here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
We know now that in the early years of the 20th century, this world was being watched closely by intelligences greater than man's.
Did the CIA write Wind of Change by the Scorpions?
As humans busied themselves about the various concerns, they were scrutinized and studied.
Dr. Loeb, what percentage chance do you give it that you have indeed uncovered extraterrestrial or non-human technology?
With infinite complacence, people went about their affairs, yet across an immense ethereal gulf, intellects vast and unsympathetic threw their plans against us.
All of a sudden, a stick out of nowhere landed right in front of us, and there was no tree, nothing overhead. Something threw it at us.
Yeah.
All Things Unexplained.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.
So what got me thinking about the Manta Ray today? Well, it started with a post on Twitter from Pro Pixel Video Analysis and Research. They reviewed the Manta Ray video, and their post said, Manta Ray Class 5 from the Skywatcher video. This appears to possibly be changing shape or flapping and not rigid. But not only that, but they noticed that during this flapping, it actually seemed to be reflecting some of the light. Out of nowhere, this reminded me of a previous case we investigated on All Things Unexplained. That case was a reported video of a pterodactyl or pterosaur over the Ohio-Idaho area. You can check out the original video here. As you can see, it does show something flying through the sky. This is actually over a neighborhood somewhere. And it does have a very pterodactyl-like appearance. When you see that, your mind kind of goes there, especially if you've been predispositioned to think pterodactyl because of the title of the video, for example. I actually looked up some other videos and photos, and I realized that, you know what, a lot of birds carry fish in their beaks after they catch them. As a matter of fact, I recently discovered a fish in the side of my yard. It just came out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, something's in the side of my yard that's not supposed to be there. And sure enough, it was a fish just laying in the side of my yard. And I deduced, of course, that a bird must have dropped it into the yard. We've got a lot of blue herons around here, a lot of bald eagles. But one thing I decided to try to do with this video, I think the most pterodactyl-like part of it was what you would think is the head of the pterodactyl. So I just kind of took a still frame shot of the head and erased the most pterodactyl-like part of the head. And if you do that, you can see it is actually a very bird-like appearance. As a matter of fact, it's a very bald eagle-like appearance. Well, you might say bald eagles, they don't carry fish in their beak. They catch them with the talons in the water, right? And they fly off with the fish. Check this out. Here's a video. Bald eagle dips down into the water, grabs a fish, and sure enough, transfers it midair into its beak and gulps it down. Here's another video of the same sort of thing. Bald eagle carrying a fish it just caught, transfers it flawlessly to its beak, and it's getting ready to eat that mid-flight. And here is a comparison of the headless silhouette with an actual bald eagle silhouette. You can see they are strikingly similar. Today, I even asked AI to create an image, a photograph of a bald eagle in flight, holding a fish in its mouth, a large fish in silhouette. And this is what it came up with. And let's compare it to the pterodactyl still frame. And I think that we can agree, yeah, this probably is a bird, a known bird, carrying a large fish. The fish is struggling in its beak, and we can actually see that, I think, in the video. The fish is so big and heavy, at some point it actually pulls the bird's head down, and it's kind of struggling with it before it takes off again. And now let's check out the Manta Ray footage. And yes, you can see it does appear to be flapping in the sky, and it does appear to have a dark silhouette at times, but then at other times, depending on the angle and the light, it appears to reflect the sunlight. The Manta Ray also appears to be quite large in the video. At least that's how our brains interpret it. So let's talk about the steps I took to arrive at my final conclusion. It had been reported that some of the Skywatcher footage was done in Sierra Blanca, Texas. So I asked AI what birds that might be seen in Sierra Blanca, Texas could have a manta ray shape when seen from below or afar. The answer surprised me. It said, in the skies around Sierra Blanca, Texas, an area of high desert, open skies, and dramatic light, it's totally possible to spot birds that might resemble a manta ray when seen from below or at a distance. That silhouette, broad wings, tapering body, maybe a bit of a ripple in flight, can definitely cause a double take. Its first answer surprised me. Turkey vulture, with a wingspan up to 6 feet, a flight pattern that includes soaring with wings held in a slight V shape, also known as dihedral, often rocking side to side. It looks manta ray-like because it has long, wide wings with splayed fingers and a small head tucked in. From underneath in bright sunlight, it can look like a smooth, floating shape. And this reminded me, we have had the Michael Jordan of birding on All Things Unexplained, and he had a fascinating obsession with turkey vultures. His name is Noah Stricker, and here's a little clip of him from All Things Unexplained.
Well, I do have a very soft spot in my soul for turkey vultures, and I think it goes back to when I was in high school, like right after I got my driver's license. There was this TV show. I don't know if you remember, David Attenborough did a show called Life of Birds, which is my favorite show of all time, obviously. And there was an episode of it called Meat Eaters, where Sir David goes out into this rainforest. I think it was in Trinidad. And he has like this rotten piece of steak in his hands. And he starts talking about turkey vultures and then buries the steak under the leaf litter on the forest floor in the forest and then backs up. And then they cut there. And then they show like 40 minutes later, this turkey vulture flying over and sailing down through the forest canopy and going right to the spot because it can smell that rotting meat from like 2 miles away. They have an incredible sense of smell and dug it up. And when I saw that as a sophomore in high school who had just inherited this 88 Volvo sedan from his parents with a very large trunk that could fit a body in it, I was like, oh man, that is the best bird feeder idea I've ever seen. And I went out and I found a roadkill deer carcass on like this hot August afternoon in Western Oregon outside of Eugene, and somehow single-handedly wrestled this thing into the trunk of my Volvo and took it home and dumped it in the front yard. And was like, Mom and Dad, I'm going to see how many turkey vultures I can attract to our yard. And it worked amazingly well. The next day we had like 40 vultures sitting on the roof of our house, and they hung around like these ghoulish beings for the next week. It was glorious.
Well, then I wondered, okay, amongst these birds, which might have a dark side and a side that reflects the sun? AI said, great question. And it gets us closer to mimicking that surreal manta ray-like effect in the sky, where something appears to be half shadow, half shimmer. Among the birds listed that are found in Sierra Blanca, Texas, the ones that are most likely to display both a dark side and a side that reflects the sun, guess what came up number one answer again? That's right, our friend, the turkey vulture. On the top side, turkey vultures are dark brownish or black. On the underside, they are two-tone with silvery flight feathers and darker wing coverts. Here's why that matters. When soaring, the light can catch the silvery underside of the wings, making them flash or shimmer while the rest of the bird stays in shadow. Very manta ray-like in appearance, especially from below. You can see here I've actually got a chart up with the size, the wingspan of a bald eagle compared to a human. Here's another chart, and you can see where the turkey vulture falls in there, just below bald eagle. So a huge wingspan for a turkey vulture. If we look at the manta ray footage again, we do notice this contrast between a dark side and a silvery reflection. But then I remembered some of the Skywatcher footage was reportedly done near Palmdale, California. As a matter of fact, they reportedly invited several people from UFO Twitter to join them in Palmdale, California. And in California, there just so happens to be a bird that's an even better fit for a manta ray-like appearance than the turkey vulture. That bird is none other than the largest bird in North America, the California condor. Here we see an image of a man with a condor. That thing is huge, just gigantic. Can you imagine seeing one of those in flight? Here's another image from a zoo. Just a little kid next to an outstretched California condor. Again, gigantic. But one thing I want you to notice about this image, notice the undersize of the wings. A massive patch of silvery or white feathers. Here's another image of a condor. You can see on the top side black and brown feathers. And just look at the size of that condor. I wanted to verify, are condors near Palmdale, California? So I went to allaboutbirds.org, and there they have a California condor sighting map. And I pulled it up, and you can see here that yes, indeed, condors have been sighted all around the Palmdale area. California condor habitat definitely surrounds Palmdale. Now let's take a look at some California condors in flight. Here you can see one. It ducks behind a tree, and when it emerges, I think this is the most fascinating part of the video. You can see at times in silhouette, it's really dark. But then notice as it turns, it comes out of the break there. You can almost see it glow with the reflection of the sunlight off some of its feathers. Palmdale sits near the Transverse Ranges, not far from the Los Padres National Forest and condor reintroduction zones like the Cespe Condor Sanctuary and Ventana Wilderness. These are active flight zones for condors which have been soaring over the Antelope Valley and surrounding desert skies. As far as a silhouette match for the condor has a huge wingspan, the largest of any bird in North America, up to 9.5 feet. It has broad fingered wings, often seen soaring with minimal wing beats. It has a tapered body and long wings that give it that smooth, gliding, manta-like shape, and it is easily misidentified or labeled UFO by people unfamiliar with their appearance. As far as the reflective light, the condor's pattern has pale secondary flight feathers and a dark body. This creates a surreal look when one part reflects sunlight and the rest stays in shadow, just like what we see in the Skywatcher video. Add in a bright desert sky, camera glare, or atmospheric distortion, and sure enough, you've got a flying manta ray. If the manta ray shaped flying object filmed by Skywatcher was indeed filmed near Palmdale, then a California condor is a strong natural candidate. It has the correct size, the correct location, the correct flight behavior, and the reflective light-dark wing effect to make it appear otherworldly. The California condor is not just a bird, it's a living glider that could easily pass for a biocraft in the right light. In a technical breakdown, why can a condor look like a UFO in video footage? 1. Their silhouette and distance equals ambiguity. Camera zoom flattens depth and warps size perception. At altitude, size is exaggerated or unknown. Viewers may assume it's huge or mechanical, and outstretched wings appear flat like aircraft or manta ray wings. 2. Light reflection creates illusion. White flight feathers may glint or shimmer, giving the appearance of light-emitting surfaces. Contrasting shadows may make the body look detached or central pod-like. Wings blend into the sky, creating the illusion of a floating manta or stealth drone. There's also atmospheric distortion. Heat waves, wind, or digital compression in videos can cause a wobbling effect, morphing outlines, and flickering or blinking light patterns. This can make a condor resemble a shape-shifting object, something reported often in UAP sightings. And we can't forget about the psychological priming. If the viewer expects to see a UFO, they are more likely to interpret this bird behavior as unnatural. This is especially true if seen near aerospace facilities like Plant 42, home of the B-2 Spirit and experimental drones, which does sit near Palmdale, California. Let's take a look at this infographic. The manta ray mystery over Palmdale. We've got the California condor, large wingspan, dark body, pale underwing, and it soars with minimal effort. And we've got the craft, large flat shape, dark on one side, reflective on the other, maintains a steady glide. They have all of these things exactly in common. Maybe it was a condor, maybe it was something else, but when a shadow glides silently across the California sky, bigger than anything you've seen before, it reminds us just how thin the line can be between the natural and the unknown. Out here, the sky doesn't always give answers. Sometimes it just gives us more questions. I'm Dr. Mounce. This was All Things Unexplained, and as always, keep your eyes up and your mind open. Thanks.
All Things Unexplained.
What's your hot take on Travis Taylor?
I've got an exclusive for you guys if you want it about the Alaska.
We do.
Okay.
Dr. Taylor was revealed to be the chief scientist of the UAP task force with the Pentagon.
So some of that, I think, sir, we'll save for closed session.